Webcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Morning everyone, welcome to today's webinar, during which we are going to be looking at two very specific functions in Oliver, the badges and the teachers portal. Before we start, there are a few housekeeping areas to go over. My name is Sarah Billany and I am the Customer Community Manager here in the UK, which means I spend a lot of time training new customers and working with our fantastic existing customers. This webinar will be recorded and sent out to everyone who registered, most likely towards the end of this week, early next week. Any handouts I refer to are attached to the GoToWebinar panel. Please do feel free to download these. There's also an attendance certificate available for your CPD records, so please grab that before you log off this session. Questions can be raised in the question panel. You're also very welcome to pop a little hello in there. I'll do my best to answer any questions that get raised as we go along. Please don't worry if I miss your question or I don't cover your question during the session. I will reach out to you at some point today to discuss any questions raised directly with you if I don't get around to covering it today. Okay, so let's begin by taking a look at our first topic of the day, which is the Teachers Portal. Now, this is a relatively new module that is available to all Oliver users. Essentially, it is a module that is designed for your school colleagues to be able to learn and return books without having to have full access to the kind of management side of Oliver. It has greater functionality than things like self-circulation and offers some useful tools to support learners from the classroom. So with the idea that it's a useful tool for teaching staff, essentially. You do have to turn the teacher portal on in your parameters. So I've popped any kind of significant parameters I mentioned today, I have popped on the PowerPoint presentation. I'll try to bring up all the slides today so you can kind of get them on the recording if you need to. But this presentation is also available to download from the GoToWebinar panel as well, so should you want a copy of it. So yeah, you do have to turn this feature on and it is parameter 5870. So I'm going to go to my Oliver system now and start showing you some of these bits and bobs. So I'm going to log in. And to get to the parameters, I want my menu on the left here and I want management and parameters just here. I'm going to search for the exact parameter by typing the number in at the top, 5870, and pressing search. And you can see if I scroll down, that's kind of popped up there. And then to change that parameter, it's this bit you would change. You press the little edit pencil on the right here, and if that is set to no, you can change it to yes, or if you don't want it on, vice versa. And then obviously save when you're done. Okay, so that is how you actually turn the Teachers Portal functionality on. Now, once the module has been turned on, you can give specific users access to the portal by changing their user role to something that includes the Teacher Portal. So, for example, a student who has the user role of OPAC only, even if you turn it on in the parameters, they're not going to see the Teachers Portal because the user role of OPAC only doesn't have the privilege for seeing the Teachers Portal. We have created a user role specifically to allow you to allocate this to somebody who you want to have access to the OPAC and the teachers portal. Okay, so it is called OPAC with Teachers Library Portal, and I will show you it. So I'm going to bring up my own borrower account here. So for those of you unfamiliar with user roles, essentially if you give somebody a username and password to log into Oliver on their borrower account, the user role is what determines how much of Oliver somebody sees. So a librarian, somebody managing the system, would generally have the user role of administrator. So because you want to be able to see and do everything. Whereas mostly the default user role that everybody kind of defaults to, unless you go and change their user role, is OPAC only, which means that if you give somebody a username and password, they're still just going to see the OPAC part of the system. But by logging in with that functionality, with that user role, they get a bit of extra functionality. So things like being able to see what loans they have and make reservations and write book reviews, that kind of thing. So OPAC only ensures kind of just access to the OPAC. But we have created this additional one here called OPAC with Teachers Library Portal, which is ideal to give to a staff member who you want to be able to access the teachers portal but nothing else. So you can give that to a staff member if required, and you can do this one by one, or perhaps you want to turn it on for all of your staff in one go. So you could do this using the exchange function, which I'll show you in a second. If the teacher or the staff member concerned has already been allocated perhaps a more complex user role, or you don't want to change their existing user role, but you just want to give them access to the teacher portal as well, you can leave their user role set to whatever it was. And there is also the option of turning it on using a little radio button on the borrower record as well. So you could set that to yes, and they would retain their existing user role, but also have access to the teachers portal as well. So you've got a couple of options there depending on what you would like to do. Now, if you're wanting to change the user role of a selection of people in bulk, I would recommend the exchange function for that. So for example, perhaps I want to search for all of my staff. So I'll bring them up on the screen. I could select everybody. There are some I don't want to change the user role of though, because they have things like administrator, that kind of thing. So I don't really want to change their user role. So I'm going to untick some of these as well. I'm going to untick my own because I want to have administrator access, that kind of thing. So I'm going to untick the ones I don't want to change. And then if you press view up at the top here, once you've kind of selected all the ones you want, it narrows your list down. So you can see it's taken by selection on the screen down from 67 to 57. Okay, so these 57 borrowers, if I wanted to give them all the user role of OPAC with Teachers Library Portal, now I have them there on the screen. I could utilize this exchange function on the left here. So the exchange function, it's going to summarize at the top how many borrowers I'm searching. So you can see that it's 57. How many borrowers I'm changing, sorry. So it's 57. And then it gives you kind of like a little snippet of the first sort of 4 of those on the screen. And then down at the bottom here, you've got various different drop-down menus so you could move these borrowers into various different categories if you wanted. But the one that I'm interested in is user role. So I would make the selection of OPAC with Teachers Library Portal, and then I would just press that go button just there, and that would give all of those 57 users the user role of Teachers Library Portal. So I'm not going to make that change today, but just pressing that button would essentially then just give me a summary screen once that's been done, confirming that the change has been made. Okay, so let's now have a think and a look at how we access the portal. So it can be accessed by those with a sufficient user role from the management area. So your button's up in the top right hand corner here. For those with just OPAC access, they will also find it visible up in the top right here. Okay, so it is this button here, the one that looks like a little person stood in front of a board, the teacher stood in front of a board. So that's the button that you're looking for either from the management area or the OPAC. So unfortunately, at the moment, it's not accessible from the Orbit OPAC. So this is only a function that you could use just from the OPAC if you're using Oliver. For those of you who are perhaps using Orbit, the user would have to have a little bit more access. So they'd have to have access to the management part of the system to be able to access the teacher portal. So this is the teacher portal here. So I'm going to click on this button to show you what it looks like. Now, when you open it up, the staff member can select their class using the class selection option here. If they would like, it will actually default to whichever class that person is in. So they may not have to physically go and select a class here. If they don't want to, it will default to whichever class they are allocated to. So they can select a class in the class selection area. And then you want the circulation tab here, and you can see you've got a learn and return option just here. So you can select who you would like to learn items to, and it will bring up their account details. Or you can just type in somebody's name like you do in the standard circulation desk. That's absolutely fine as well. Once you've got your borrower up on the screen, that is when you can learn something to that person. So again, you can either scan in the barcode, or if you need to, you can type in a title and select it and learn that item to somebody. You'll notice that there is also this scan button here. So that allows you to use the camera on your device, on your phone or your iPad, whatever it is you're using, if you would like to do that. Once you've learned the item and you've finished dealing with that particular student, you just press done, and then you can make another selection, loan a book out to somebody else. So we've just had a question come in about teachers selecting more than one class. You can't select more than one class in that class selection area. You can only select one class at a time, but you can type in any student name in here, and they could perhaps select a particular class, then go to class selection, select a different class if they would like. Or as I say, they can just type in individual borrowers' names in here, that they don't have to be associated with the class that they're in. Now, to return items, you just click on the return button. So a bit like in the circulation desk itself. And again, you can either sort of type the title of the book in that you to return, or if you want to select a student and select return on the individual item, you can do that as well. So if you prefer to click the buttons rather than type things in, you can do that. And again, select done when you're done. Now, in addition to kind of basic loans and returns, the Teachers Portal does allow staff to manage resource boxes that have been loaned to them as well. So perhaps a resource box of books has been loaned to a teacher for them to use in their classroom, and then a student wants to take one of those books home. So the staff member can loan resource box items from the resource box using the teacher portal. So you can see under the circulation tab here, there is a resource box items learn option. So if I click on that, it's showing me the resource box that is on Learn to Me. I can select that. I can select which item I want to learn, and I can choose which student I want to learn it to. And then obviously you could just return the item in the standard way using the return tab here. And again, scanning in the barcode of the item or selecting the item here and pressing return. And I could say whether or not I want to flag this item as not being in its container or not. I want it to stay in the container. Okay. In addition to these kind of learns and returns and the resource box functionality, you can also get an overview of a class in terms of learns and number of book reviews and most popular learns, etc. So that's what this class dashboard section is for here. So the overview just takes you to the kind of top of all of these different graphs here. And you can scroll through the different options that are available to you. So you can see you've got a general overview of Royal Class 4X, learns by date range, and again you can change the date range if you want to, the most popular items for that class and the number of reviews by that class. Now obviously if you wanted to see the statistics for a different class, you would have to go and make a different class selection there and then take another look at the class dashboard to see the results for a different class. So the fact that you can select different classes does give the user flexibility if they are looking after a class that isn't theirs, or they manage different classes at during different lessons, that kind of thing. So in general, the Teachers Portal really is designed to give some of your teaching staff a little bit of kind of ownership of any classroom libraries or resource boxes they have. So things that might come under your jurisdiction, but you're not there to manage those resources lesson by lesson or day by day, kind of perhaps helps you kind of keep track of what's going on with those, or if that staff member wants to keep track of their own classroom books. Now to get back to Oliver, you just want to press the little Oliver button here, and that takes us back to our Oliver system. Okay, so that is the Teachers Portal. Now moving on to our second topic of today, which is the badge functionality in Oliver. So badges again are a relatively new feature in Oliver. It is an inbuilt feature that allows students to be automatically awarded badges for every 10 books that they take out, and they have to be 10 different books, every 10 books that they return on time, and every 10 book reviews that they write. And they will be awarded badges automatically every time that happens, 10 times essentially. So, and the progression of the awards is bronze, silver, gold and diamond. So they can earn up to 4 badges in each of those 3 categories. So badge functionality is enabled via parameter 3338. So much in the same way that we were able to turn on the Teachers Portal, you can turn the badge functionality on or off, depending on whether or not you're wanting to use that functionality. As I've just mentioned, the badges are awarded automatically when you have that badge function enabled. They're awarded throughout the school year, and then at the start of the next school year, the badges refresh, so the progress starts again. And again, this is done automatically. You don't have to do anything to refresh that progress. It will happen automatically at the start of the school year. The progress is sort of slate swipe clean, and the students start again for the following academic year. Now, you can review an individual's badge progress in the circulation desk where there is a badges button. So we'll take a look at that now. So I'm going to go to the circulation desk here. And I'll bring up my account. And you can see this is the badges button just here. So if you want to check an individual's badge progress while they're at the issue desk with you, you can select that button and it shows you their progress for the current academic year. So you can see that to get I need 3 more, take out 3 more books to earn my gold Reading Rockstar badge, and I need to write 8 more reviews to get my silver reviewer royalty badge. And 1 more book has to be returned on time for me to get my gold punctuality pro badge there. And I can take a look at previous years as well from this screen, so you can look back on a previous year if the student wants to know how they did in the last academic year, for example. If you are a fan of the browse button and you bring classes up in this way, there is a badge earned option in here to highlight any students that have earned badges. I don't think that particular class has. So it will pick out any students that have earned a badge in that academic year. So BE there means badge earned. And again, you can click on that little option if you want to have a look and see what those badges are that they've earned. So there's a couple of options there in the circulation desk to kind of help you. And if somebody is awarded a badge, so they return an item and that's the point where they hit a punctuality pro badge or their Reading Rockstar badge, that alert will come up in the circulation desk, so you can chat to the student at that moment in time. And you can see there are a couple of parameters listed on here that help you kind of decide how you want that to show. So it might be, whoops-a-daisy, there we go, that you don't want the notifications to show up on return. You only want them to pop up when you issue books. So you can disable the badge notification on return, or all badge notifications, that kind of thing. So you've got a few different options there depending on what your preferences are in the circulation desk for those notifications. Now, if you'd like to print off reports relating to badges, there are 2 that I would recommend. The first one is if you want kind of a list of everybody who's earned a badge within a particular time frame. It can be quite helpful. So under the circulation menu, if I go to borrowers, perhaps I want to bring up a list of absolutely everybody. So I'm going to search for all of my borrowers. I'm going to press this 200 plus at the top there. So when I generate my report, it's going to get everybody, not just the first 200. That is the generate report button. So whenever you see that button, if you've performed some sort of search, that is what will allow you to print some sort of report off in relation to your results. Because I'm in the borrowers area, it's going to give me borrower related reports, including the borrower badge list. Okay, so this allows me to enter my date range. So it's kind of defaulting to the last calendar year, but I could change that to whatever I wanted. I can choose the format I want to produce it in. So Word, Excel, PDF, etc. And then I just press go and download that report. And it will give me a list of all of the badges earned in the time frame that I have chosen. The second option is to have the certificates printed out automatically from the system. You do that from your circulation and reports area. So we've got our circulation menu here, and our reports area. So incidentally, this is also the place you would come to do things like run loan statistics. Usage with search criteria is a great one for things like most popular resources, most frequent borrowers, that kind of thing. But a new addition to this section is the borrower badge certificates just here. So again, I can enter the date range that I'm interested in. So I might just set that to today, like that. I might go a little bit further back actually. So enter the date range. I could even upload a signature if I wanted to kind of sign these with an electronic signature, and then press report. And it will kind of create those certificates for you. The only downside to this at the moment is that it is printing them out. It's not grouping them into form class or anything like that. So if you're doing a lot of certificates in one go, it might take you a while to sort them out. So if it's your preference to use something like the borrower badge list, so perhaps you're kind of working through it a class at a time or a year group at a time and printing that list off, you can access these certificates in our via our promotional resources page on the community portal, where you'll be able to download the certificates and have those saved to your computer to kind of print them off in case you're wanting to handwrite them, that kind of thing. I'll make sure I pop a link to our promotional resources page in the follow-up email that contains the recording to this as well, so you can access that easily if you're not sure where it is. So as always, we welcome any feedback you have about these new functions. Thank you so much for coming along today. I'm going to leave the question panels open for any other questions that you might have. Please remember to download any documents you would like from the GoToWebinar meeting panel. So again, I'll keep this webinar running for another 5 minutes or so to give you a chance to do that. Our next webinar is scheduled for the 1st of April, and we will be looking at the groups feature in more detail. So we'll have a look at what it is and how to use it. So thanks as always, everyone, and I look forward to sharing more of our Oliver functions with you all again soon.